Thank you, Peter, and thank you for your clear-eyed and consistent leadership on an issue that is so vital for the future of our country, for our children and our grandchildren. How can this Prime Minister promise a future made in Australia when he can't keep the lights on today? In order to have that future made in Australia, we have to have nuclear energy in the mix. Now, Labor promised to rebuild manufacturing, but instead we've got a train wreck of energy policy right across this country. We have seen the number of manufacturers going to the wall triple since Labor came into government. Insolvencies in manufacturing and construction are at record highs, higher than they've been since the global financial crisis. This is not good enough. But the latest generation nuclear technology used by 19 of the 20 biggest economies will give us long-term, lower power prices. And this nuclear energy is such a good opportunity for Australian jobs. So our vision is to make sure that we underpin our economic success with jobs for decades to come in industries where Australia has that competitive advantage. Because if we do that, if we build more things here, we can grow our economy. Our nuclear plan will put our country back on track. To all of the men and women, the families and the communities that work hard every day in our manufacturing industries, doing long, hard hours on factory floors across regional Australia, across the suburbs, in our cities, this is a plan for all of you, for cheaper energy, for an optimistic future, and for the future to really, really be made in Australia.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, colleagues. Labor is turning the lights out. Prices will soar, jobs will be shed, and industries will collapse. Australians will be left poorer and our nation weaker. All this and emissions have flatlined. In fact, our local environment is being severely damaged. But it's only going to get worse, and this is a direct consequence of Labor putting all its eggs in one basket with a renewables-only policy. Renewables have stalled under Labor. Gas is being suffocated with a lack of supply, and we have 90% of Australia's 24/7 baseload power exiting the grid over the next decade, with no chance of a replacement being ready in time. Labor is turning off one system before having another one ready to go. Australia's running out of energy. Now, only the Coalition has the ability to get Australia back on track, and our plan is to deliver cheaper, cleaner and consistent 24/7 electricity as part of a balanced energy mix. Today and historically, we have had a balanced mix in Australia. Today we have renewables, we have gas and we have coal. As we move forward into the future, we see an Australia that will still have a balanced mix of technologies. Renewables, gas, and as coal retires from the system, it will be replaced with zero emissions nuclear energy. This is the natural next step for us as a nuclear nation. Australia already is a nuclear nation. We know that nuclear technology saves lives. We know that because we have a nuclear reactor operating here in Sydney. It's been operating for decades, saving lives, especially diagnosing and treating cancers. Technology we know that also protects lives. Through the AUKUS deal with the United States and the United Kingdom, Australia will have nuclear-propelled submarines. And we know that nuclear technology also underpins livelihoods. As a country with the largest reserves of uranium, powering nuclear plants the world over, despite having none of our own, we know the economic importance of nuclear technology. And so today we go that one step further as a coalition under Peter Dutton's leadership to spell out what our plan is to introduce a civil nuclear program into Australia. Now, this is about far more than just solving the problems Labor has created. This represents a new era of economic prosperity for Australia, a new era underpinned by an abundance of cheap, clean and consistent 24/7 electricity. And at the front of that economic wave will be those host communities across regional Australia, those 7 communities which have been identified, which will host these zero emissions nuclear power plants. And we'll be working together with them to define the vision specifically tailored to their area, because they will be uniquely placed, as all Australian households and businesses benefit, with cheaper, cleaner and consistent energy. Well, these communities in particular will have the cheapest and cleanest and most consistent energy in the country. Today, I believe, represents an enormous milestone in what has been a very open and transparent discussion with the Australian people about what a future Australia can look like. We have what it takes. We already are a nuclear nation. And it's with enormous hope and optimism that I look towards the only credible pathway to decarbonise and reach net zero, while ensuring Australia remains a highly prosperous country, a strong country and a fiercely independent one.